How to maintain the love in a relationship. Hello, ladies, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Alex Cormont. I'm the French relationship expert. But today I have the pleasure to meet with Kyle Benson. Hello, Kyle. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for being here. So you are an intimate coach and relationship expert.
Mhm.
I know that you're also the director of the Love Lab for the Gottman Institute. So you have such an amazing experience about relationship, about also single people that wants to be happy in their love life. Can you please introduce yourself and we will talk about how to maintain the love in a relationship?
Yeah, I'm an intimate or an intentionally intimate relationship coach. That's what I do. I also am the manager of the Love Lab. I work under the research director of the Gottman Institute. And so I manage our research studies and kind of nerd out on the research on what makes love last. The reason I work for the Gottman Institute is really my passion for figuring out the recipe to make love last. And Dr. Gottman has spent 40 years researching over 3,000 couples and observing them in their marriages and relationships for sometimes up to 12 years, and seeing the changes that happened over time. And essentially, Dr. John Gottman and Dr. Julie Gottman, his wife, they came up with kind of a recipe that they found between what they call the master couples, couples who had stable and successful relationships over time, versus what they call the disaster couples, which is couples who the relationship deteriorated over time. And one of the key kind of foundation for that is what we'll be talking about today, which is emotional connection and really the friendship component of a relationship. And so they
Yeah,
actually have, go ahead.
I know that you know we talked before to do this video that there is three main components and just the emotional part just by herself was a big part. So this interview will really be about the emotional connection. Can you just define what will be emotional connection for you and also talk a little bit about your experience about this?
Yeah, so for me, emotional connection is a felt sense of that I'm close to that person, that they're important to me, and that they know me, right? And I know them. There's this level of intimacy, right? And I use the word intimacy like into me, I let you see, another person doing it reverse, where into me, they let me see, right? I get to know their inner world. I get to know their likes or dislikes, things that stress them out. I become an expert on them in a way, right? And I think that's really what's really important as romantic partners is kind of got to become, we got to study what makes our lover happy. And we both have to do that to make kind of love last over time. And for me, emotional connection has a few different layers to that, right? It is really that friendship. It's this feeling that you feel known, that you feel kind of really understood by your partner. And that's actually the first level of the sound relationship house that Dr. John and
So
Cooley.
the first one is friendship.
The first one is what that we call love maps. So that's kind of like
Okay.
a layer. There's this sound relationship house that you kind of include in the graphics. And there's the first four levels are for the friendship system. That's what we call it. But it's this love maps. It's how well do you know your partner? Like it's how well do you have a map in your head of your partner's inner world? Their likes or dislikes, and who their annoying aunt is, right? Even some of the silly stuff of, okay, they only like 1 tablespoon of sugar in their coffee, right? It's really be kind of studying your partner and figuring out kind of what makes them happy and ways to support that. The next level up above that is where it's called fondness and admiration. It's really about
Okay.
respect, right? And one of the things that emotionally connected couples do really well is they demonstrate and verbally share what they cherish about each other. I love how playful you are. Thank you for taking the kids out to play with them. You're such a good parent. I really admire that in you. Right? They're making these overt statements that are like, I admire you. You're an amazing person. I cherish you. And that's a very important thing for maintaining a relationship over time, right? We have the couples who do that versus a couple who hasn't said something like that in 16 years,
Wow.
right? Think about
That's
the
a lot.
difference in those relationships, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's another really big thing is creating a culture of cherishing one another. And so that's kind of that second level. And then the third level is what we call turning towards. And it's really about making an effort to tune into what goes on for your partner, right? Interestingly, how they study this is Dr. Gottman and his research team years ago, they built a kind of an apartment, and it was just like a normal apartment. And what they did differently though is they had cameras everywhere, and they had other researchers sitting in a room. They had them hooked up to heart rate monitors, and then they were taking blood samples and also urine samples. So pretty normal, but minus those things. And what they found is that what separated the master couples versus the disastrous couples is the master couples would really listen to each other, and they would kind of turn towards each other. And so a partner might be looking out over the lake and go, God, what a cool sailboat. And in that moment, the partner kind of sitting at that table reading the newspaper has a few different choices. One, they can say, yeah, tell me about that sailboat. Or even just like, oh, that sounds cool, sailboat, right? That's a way of turning towards. They're acknowledging their partner statement. The other one is what we call turning against, where they're saying, leave me alone, I'm reading the newspaper. Can't you see that? Right? It's kind of like pushing their partner away.
Yeah.
And then the third one is just pretending like they didn't hear anything. Or just sit there quietly, right?
That's not good.
And so those last two responses, just as you kind of acknowledge, right? Over time, that kind of chips away at the relationship, right? It's like, if you have more of those experiences than experiences your partner connecting with you, your relationship's going to deteriorate over time, because you're going to feel like your partner's not there, right? If I tell them something, or if I try to get their attention, they're not going to respond to me. So what's the point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so go ahead.
Yeah, before we go into the fourth level, I want to ask you a question. When I listen to you, we have to learn how to create the emotional connection. It's not something that is normal or usual. It's something that we need to learn and master our relationship skills. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And that's why I talk about being intentional, right? It's not just this passive form of a relationship, right? And that's what happens is when you're passive, if you let your relationship just go, right, and you don't do anything to improve it, your relationship's going to get worse over time. We know that. That's what research shows. You actually have to make an active effort to keep your relationship in a good place and make it better, right? And if you're not kind of fulfilling the emotional connection, if you're not kind of checking in with your partner, if you're not going out on dates, well, your relationship's going to decline.
For sure.
Right. And so
that's really interesting, because people and myself, before to be a relationship expert, I was thinking that love is easy and love is natural. So we just have to love each other. But as you say, the more we grow and we can grow apart, this is something really important to know that and to work on it every single day. Yeah. Thank you for sharing this. So what will be the level number 4?
Yeah. Well, before we go that, I want to just add to that part that you were saying, like, love is not enough, right? You can love someone a ton, but you can also be really distant from each other, right? And so it is taking that intentional effort. And one of the things, if we go to that fourth level that we're talking about that builds that friendship, it's this positive perspective of your partner, right? You see them as someone special. You see them as someone that is important to you. And when they might say something that is out of character because they're stressed out or overwhelmed, you give them the benefit of the doubt when you have that positive perspective. And so that's what the masters do, right? If my partner comes in and she's frustrated with me about not doing the dishes, right, and maybe says, God, you're so lazy sometimes, right? I could respond and be really defensive and say, you're messy too, and like attack her back. Or I could also say, wow, her dad just passed away recently. She's having a really tough time, right? So that's really what's going on for her. And that's kind of out of character for her. And so I would use that as an opportunity to connect with her, because I would give her that benefit of the doubt. But the reason I'm able to do that is because we have those other 3 levels that are kind of really stable and strong, right? And that's another important thing. What we see in the disaster couples is when they don't have good love maps, when they aren't sharing what they cherish about each other, when they're not turning towards each other, they have a pretty negative perspective of each other. It's like, you're flawed, you're the reason our relationship sucks, right? And that's a really tough place to build a healthy relationship if that's how you see your partner.
Yeah, so basically don't attack each other because this is the worst thing you can do for your relationship.
Mhm.
That's something very powerful that you share with us today, these 4 levels, because it can just help us visualize where we are and what we need to do in order to make a relationship better. Now, I have a question for you because my community is mostly women, and most of the time they're in a relationship and they are giving a lot.
Mhm.
So, do you think that it's sometimes really important to just focus on ourselves in order to make the relationship work? Do you feel that it's really important to feel happy or confident within ourselves, or it's just something that we have to do like together? What do you think about having your own life, being happy by yourself?
I think you need both, right? I think on the one hand, right, if you get so close to your partner that you lose who you are and your own identity, that actually takes away from intimacy, right? Because in essentially,
Yep.
you've lost yourself into them. And then there's no space for them to get to know you as you grow and change over time. And so I think it is really important to have your own life, your hobbies, the things that you find bring you passion, the things that you find unique. And it is important to invest in those because that creates a space of, well, let me share about the things that I did today, the things that I love, right? It creates actually more opportunity for connection and for you to kind of share those things. So I think it's really important compared to like, oh my goodness, my partner loves hunting. And so now I must learn how to hunt so I can have a relationship with that person, right? And you might actually hate hunting. And so in a way, the message you're telling yourself is I must betray myself to be in relationship with this person. And that's not healthy.
Wow, that's really important what you say because most of the time we want to forget who we are to be like the person wants to be, or at least to do, as you say, like hunting. So basically do the hobbies or passions that our partner has. Another question I want to ask you is, this is something that really just come in my mind because a lot of ladies ask me this. Is it really possible for everyone to get this master relationship? Because some of them was maybe like your boyfriend cheating on you or like you have a lack of self-confidence, but is it possible for everyone that are intentional, I love this word, that they can just build a relationship they want? Is it really possible?
Yeah, so we know it's possible from kind of research. We've seen it improve relationships when couples, go to that workshop, when they start working on some of the stuff, even couples that I've coached, I've seen them really change their relationship around. But
Wow.
here's the thing though, too, right? If you're the female partner, you're wanting to improve the relationship, you're wanting to work on all these things, but your partner's not, you can't force them to do those things. And so that's the other thing, right? You also have to create space for them to join you in these things. And you might be with a partner that might not want to do that. And that is sometimes the tough reality. I've coached other women who I'm like, this guy's priorities are his hobbies, and then you come after that. That's not going to lead to, an important relationship where you feel that he's available and responsive to you because he chose to go hunting and cancel your date compared to go, hey, what's going to work for you? How can I make this good for you too?
So what can they react in this type of situation? If you have your partner that is loving his life, his hobbies more than you, basically, what can they do? How can they react if they want to build this relationship that will last forever? If they want to maintain the love and the attraction and create this emotional connection, is there any solution to take your time and try to master your advice, your exercise? What will be the best solution or the best action they can do?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it is kind of giving that partner a chance on, hey, here's what I'm noticing is like, we make a plan and you cancel it. Like, can you help me understand why that's happening? Right? Because that's really hard for me. And it makes me feel like I'm not important to you. And you give that partner a chance to kind of defend and prove that, okay, they want to be in a relationship, or you'll get the evidence that they're just not willing to put in the effort. And if we go back to that intentionality, or if you have a partner who's not willing to be intentional, well, the relationship's going to struggle. And that's the hard
Yeah.
truth, right?
That's true. What I like in your response is at least we have to communicate because most of the women, at least the one I coach, they would not say anything to be scared to lose him. And it would become worse and worse and worse. But when I listen to your advice, it's like, ladies, you can be yourself and you can value. Maybe we'll have a good excuse, as you said, maybe he's too stressed with work and he need to go hunting, and it was just the only one time he will do it, and he will never make this mistake again if you open the communication. So I really love your advice on it.
Well, and that's what we see in the research too. Couples who are able to address stuff that's negative or not going well early on, and they talk to each other about it, they have a better relationship over time. Couples who think, okay, I'm not going to try to start anything with them, I'm going to avoid this negativity, their relationships become more negative over time. It becomes more insecure. And it's really important, just as you said, you're going to have to communicate that stuff. And that's really, in dating, you're determining if that person's going to be someone you want to marry.
If you have one advice, that will be my final question. If you have one advice for ladies or even men, if they are watching this video, but for ladies that wants to build an emotional connection with a man in order to maintain the love and the attraction and have a relationship that would last forever, one advice or one tips, what it could be, what would be really important for you?
I think really just being intentional. I think the biggest thing for particularly, female partners, if we're looking at some of the historical research, is when they bring up issues, to do so gently. One of the things that we see is technically in Gottman's research, women bring up 80% of the problems in a relationship. Now, you and I could have a whole nother long conversation about my problems with that. But right, when problems get worse in the relationship, sometimes we'll escalate. It will become more like, you're the laziest person I've ever met. You never show any affection to me. You're like, but that makes, right, if your partner hears that, they're just going to shut down. And that's what we see a lot in relationships. And so what you want to go to them is give them the recipe to be successful with you. Hey, I really love it when you ask me those types of questions, right? I really appreciate when we snuggle when we're watching TV. It makes me feel like, oh my goodness, I love this guy, right? Those things help reinforce like, oh, these are the things she really cherishes, and give him confidence that he can do things well for you.
It's so funny that you say that, because yesterday I coached this lady and she told me, Alex, he doesn't know what I want. And I asked her, but did you express what you want? And she said, no, he should know, it's normal. But what is normal for you is not normal for us, you know? And it's same, like today I learned a lot with Kyle. So basically we can always learn and try to be better, a better version of ourselves. So I love your advice. I just feel that I'm learning a lot. So I look forward to do more and more videos about these topics, because relationships sometimes could be difficult. I know that, ladies. I know also, Kyle, that you have a 7 days challenge. Can you talk a little bit about these resources, please?
Yeah, so I think if you're starting to get into an intimate relationship, I offer a 7-day course called the 7-Day Emotional Connection Challenge. And it goes through kind of those 4 levels plus a little bit of more stuff that really helps you get to feel emotionally close with your partner. And hundreds of people have taken it and they've loved it. And it takes only 15 minutes a day. So it's really short, quick, but it essentially teaches you the foundational things that you need to do in your relationship to maintain love over time.
Wow, this is wonderful. So I will include the link just right below. Can they do it by yourself or in a relationship? Is it for both people, single and dating or relationship?
It's more designed for being in a relationship, but I have had individuals take it and they've said they've learned a lot from it. And my recommendation would be to do it as a couple. You're going to get a lot more out of that.
Sounds good. Anyone needs to do that. So ladies, if you're watching this video, I want you to go on the description link just right below, click on it, and let's do this 7 days challenge. I also encourage you to look at Kyle's website. It's kylebenson.net, and you will find a lot of resources. So basically, I was looking online, I need to interview like a master of relationship, and just Kyle just come up, and I was just reading and I was like blown away by the contents. So you need to watch the website. I will include the link right below. One question about your program. Do you offer one-on-one group coaching? Do you help people by doing coaching session maybe?
Yeah, so I do. I work with couples and I work with individuals. And so that's definitely something that people can reach out to me about.
Sounds good. So if you need some help, if you want to learn more about I would say like male psychology, but also relationship and how to build some strong foundation. I would really encourage you to reach out to Kyle. Thank you so much, Kyle. It was really a pleasure to have you on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, thank you. This was a joy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much. So ladies, I will include all the link right below. Kyle, I always give the final word to the people I interview. So what can you share to all of the ladies that will watch this video and that wants to be happy in love, basically?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've learned even in my personal journey or work with my clients is figuring out what we need in our relationship to be happy. And sometimes that is going to take us learning and learning about kind of these 4 different levels that we talked about today. But it is being direct with our partners about that and giving them the opportunity to help create a healthy relationship with us. And that's really the best thing you can do to build a healthy relationship.
Yes, I love what you say, because if you want to protect someone, sometimes you don't allow them to change. If you don't want to share what you have in your heart or in your stomach, you will not allow them to change. So it's pretty important to be direct. Thanks so much one more time. Ladies, it's time for you to leave a comment and click the link below to discover Kyle works and to work with him one-on-one, or to just like maybe you have some program also online. Just try to find the resources and make sure that you will reach out to him. Thanks so much, Kyle.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself, ladies. Bye-bye.